On March 11, 2026, the United States Food and Drug Administration launched a new platform and retired FAERS, the Adverse Event Monitoring System, AE. The FDA's Chief AI Officer, Jeremy Walsh, described the launch as, and I'm quoting him directly, the biggest technical transformation in agency history. Seven separate databases that had operated independently for decades, including FAIRS, WARES, MOD, and four others, replaced by one unified system. And almost nobody in pharmacovigilance has talked about what this actually means for the professionals who work with this data every day. I am Vinay, and I have been in this field for more than 11 years now. Today, I want to give you the complete picture of what changed, what stayed the same, and what this means for the professionals submitting cases, querying data, and building signal detection programs based on what was formerly called as FAIRS. Now, let's understand what AEMS actually is. The Adverse Event Monitoring System is a single, unified platform that consolidates every adverse event reporting database the FDA previously operated. As of May 2026, it contains data from FAERS, which covered drugs and biologics, from WARES, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, which was co-managed with CDC, from AE for animal drugs and animal food, from for medical devices, from the Human Foods Complaint System, and from the Center for Tobacco Products Adverse Event Reporting System. Seven databases previously costing the FDA approximately $37 million per year to operate, just replaced by one platform. Expected savings $120 million over 5 years. At launch on March 11th, AE already contained over 32.8 million adverse event reports. Of those, approximately 54.6% were classified as serious and 8.8% involved death outcomes. The most significant operational changes for pharmacovigilance professionals who query FAIRS regularly, data publication is now in near real time rather than quarterly. FAIRS published data in quarterly batches. You submitted a case and it would appear publicly 3 months later. The AE publishes data continuously. Cases appear in the public dashboard as they are processed. Note when the quarterly cycle closes. And there is one additional capability that represents a genuinely new direction for this platform. AEMS now centralizes consumer complaints, regulatory misconduct reports, and whistleblower submissions across all FDA centers. This was not a feature of FAIRS. The FDA's Adverse Event Monitoring System is now also its whistleblower submission system. Now, what this means for case submission. I want to be very clear about something that is creating confusion in the industry. Reporting obligations have not changed. The legal requirement to submit expedited cases within 15 days, to submit non-expedited reports on the defined schedule, and to submit in the ICE electronic format. None of these changed when AEMS launched. The platform that receives those reports have changed. The obligations have not. However, the FDA did announce on May 11, 2026, 2 months after the AEMS launch, specific changes to the coding used in electronic MDR submission as part of the AEMS consolidation. Specific country codes and adverse event codes that had been valid in the legacy systems are no longer supported in AEMS. For pharmaceutical companies and CROs managing US case submissions, this requires a technical update to submission workflows. Submissions using depreciated codes after the transition date will fail validation. The practical implication for safety database administrators and IT teams managing ICSR submission pipelines, your E2B R3 submission mapping files need to be reviewed against the updated AEMS coding requirements. If your organization's submission pipeline was built against the FAERS validation rules and has not been updated for AEMS, you may be generating submission errors that your team is not yet aware of. For teams that use FAERS data for competitive intelligence, signal detection research, or pharmacoepidemiology, your queries need to be rebuilt for AEMS platform. AMS has a different query interface, different data export formats, and a different dashboard architecture from the legacy FAIR's public dashboard. The data itself is the same data, but the access methodology is completely different. Now, there is a specific enforcement story connected to the AMS launch that every pharmacovigilance professional needs to know. In a letter dated March 5th, 2026, 6 days before AEMS launched, the FDA criticized Novo Nordisk for what it described as serious violations related to adverse event reporting for semaglutide, the active ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy. The FDA cited three unreported deaths, included one suicidal death. This enforcement action, occurring in the same week as the AMS launch, sends an unmistakable signal. The FDA is simultaneously upgrading its adverse event monitoring infrastructure and enforcing its reporting obligations that feed it. The message is very clear. The bar is expedited reporting compliance is not dropping as the system modernizes. If anything, with near real time data publication and improved cross product surveillance analytics, the consequences of non compliance will be more visible more quickly than they were under the quarterly update model. Now, what does near real time publication mean for pharmacovigilance professionals? Like under the quarterly update model, there was an inherent lag between when cases were submitted and when they become publicly visible. Signal detection by external researchers, regulatory authorities, and competitor pharmacovigilance teams was limited by this lag. Under AEMS, cases submitted to the FDA are visible in the public dashboard substantially faster. The signal detection window is shorter. The time between a case being submitted and a potential signal being visible to anyone querying the public database has compressed significantly. The strategic implications of this change. Now, here are the three strategic implications of AEMS that I think are most significant for pharmacovigilance professionals and their organization. First, the signal detection landscape is faster. With near real time data, the opportunity to detect emerging signals from AEMS data is more immediate. Pharmacovigilance teams that have signal detection processes built on quarterly FAERS data pools need to reassess their cadence. The competitive advantage of detecting a signal before your regulatory authority does and acting on it proactively is now a shorter window. Second, the transparency is higher. All of the data that was previously spread across seven separate databases is now in one searchable, publicly accessible system. Patient advocates, investigative journalists, academic researchers, and plaintiffs' attorneys all have easier access to adverse event data than they did before March 11th. The era of pharmacovigilance data being technically public but practically difficult to access is ending. The third implication, the whistleblower integration is significant. AMS is now the centralized platform for whistleblower submissions across all FDA centers. This means that safety professionals inside pharmaceutical companies who have concerns about adverse event reporting practices, unreported deaths, delayed submissions, systematic clarification errors, how have a direct documented channel to FDA that sits within the same system that tracks adverse events. This changes the compliance calculus for any organization that has treated expedited reporting as a procedural requirement rather than a patient safety or obligation. Now, has your organization updated submission workflows for AEMS yet? Are you aware of the specific code changes announced on May 11th? Comment below. I want to understand how far along the industry is in implementing this transition. And I will see you in the next one.